ELPC, where I'm a senior policy advocate, is a Midwest-based public interest environmental legal advocacy and eco-business innovation organization. We're in 9 Midwestern states and have our 25th anniversary this year. We're younger than Sierra Club, but working with them and happy to be doing so. There are many steps along the way to getting electric school buses for our nation's children. The VW Mitigation Trust Funds available to every state right now are a key first. The time is finally right, given the confluence of a number of critical pieces. One that's been mentioned is that all major US school bus manufacturers now have an electric school bus option either available or in the pipeline, as Bethany just showed. To experience an electric school bus is convincing. They're quiet, they've got good pickup, and no awful smells. There's greater understanding of the health problems, as Dr. Wilson alluded to and described in detail. And there's interest across the country. We just learned today that there's other concerns now about the emissions from new so-called diesel buses. The current calculators, which are being used by many governmental agencies, including US EPA's DEQ, do not evaluate alternative fuels. And the Argonne National Labs has just last week released a heavy-duty vehicle emission calculator for states and others to use to evaluate the cost effectiveness and emission reductions for eligible technologies. This new calculator is the best tool available for project evaluation. We hope that among the advocacy that you do with your state agency for VW funds, that you make sure and mention that they need to use this new, better tool, because it will show damage from so-called clean diesel buses that hasn't been seen before, and again show the advantages of switching to electric. Recently, we had some other very good news on this first step about VW plans. In addition to the states that Mary Lunetta mentioned earlier, just last month, Ohio released its draft VW plan. And it is the first state, as we've been able to find, that allocated $3 million specifically for electric school buses. This is the first state to carve out funds specifically for electric school buses. That carve out for electric buses is important, not just because electric school buses would be allowable, but because there is money that means that there could be enough to actually cover the incremental costs of an electric school bus. Now is the time to advocate for your state to similarly carve out, set aside funds for electric school buses. However, we need to be vigilant. State Volkswagen plans can change. The good news is that even if no funds are dedicated now, states can change their plans and support electric school buses in the future years. They have 10 years to spend the money. But it also means we must be vigilant, because funds allocated now but not spent could be redirected to other uses. So state lead agencies are going to have to be frequently reminded of parental and school officials' interest in zero-emission school buses. So don't be shy about keeping in contact with them. Due to the current cost disparity of electric school buses, Volkswagen funds alone won't transform fleets to zero emissions. Many schools now have solar panels or wind turbines. Many more are taking up STEM education. Electric school buses are a perfect fit with all of these. School buses will be able to tap into the renewable power produced by wind or solar and are a perfect lab for STEM classes. Many states also have renewable portfolio standards, goals set to transform their major sources of energy from dirty coal to cleaner wind and solar. In such states, electric school buses can fit in and help meet that goal. In fact, the registrants on this call are from states, all of which, except Florida, do have such renewable standards. School officials and others who experience electric school buses, whether by seeing one in a tour, as more and more school bus manufacturers are doing, whether buying one with VW funds, or even seeing another school's bus when it comes for a sport or music event, will then realize that they too want to transform their fleet. School boards, with that experience, can make this step of improving the health of their students, their mechanics, their drivers, and the teachers and staff who accompany students while waiting or riding the bus by resolving to clean up their fleets. Once you've experienced an electric school bus, a school official will have the confidence to adopt a resolution to change their fleet. We have drafted a model resolution for school boards to adopt, committing their school or district to gradually improve its fleet by over time increasingly purchasing electric school buses. The proposed timing matches the availability and price drops experience shows we can expect as more electric school buses are made and sold across the country. For instance, in our model resolution, by 2025, 15% of new school bus purchases would be electric. There's an interim goal for 2030, 2035, and then by 2040, our resolution and schools that adopt it would purchase 100% of their new school buses with electric. Thanks for your help, Edwin. All of you on this call today have demonstrated your interest in having cleaner, safer transportation for your children. We need your involvement in this campaign for zero-emission school buses. Whether you live in Arizona, Colorado, Connecticut, Florida, Illinois, Maryland, Nevada, New Mexico, or New York, you can be part of this transportation transformation to protect our nation's children. We'd like to call you to see how you can join us. Please be thinking of who you know who would like to be part of this. Your child's school nurse or principal, your child's pediatrician, an elected official you know, a utility executive who might help to get their company to support electric school buses. Your actions, your involvement can turn the buses from dirty diesel to zero emissions. We hope to hear from you and to be in touch with you.